On July 24 and 26, 2025, I published two videos related to Bill HR 2633. The original bill was introduced by Republican Representative Ronnie Jackson on April 3, 2025. If you haven't watched those videos yet, I encourage you to do so after this one. They do provide valuable context and background information. And for those unfamiliar with Bill HR 2633, here's a summary of what it covers. Known as the U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act of 2025, the bill mandates a comprehensive review of the United States and bilateral relationship with South Africa, including a presidential certification on whether South Africa has taken actions that undermine United States national security or foreign policy interests. It directs the administration to report on South African government officials and leaders of the ANC who may be eligible for sanctions under U.S. human rights or anti-corruption laws. The bill also lays out findings alleging that the ANC's actions are inconsistent with South Africa's stated non-alignment foreign policy, citing ties with Hamas, Russia, China, etc., and that some of these actions could merit U.S. response. But on September 15, 2025, Senator John Kennedy introduced a companion bill in the Senate aimed at holding South Africa accountable for anti-U.S. actions. This bill serves as a second round to the similar legislation tabled in the House of Representatives by Ronnie Jackson. While the two bills share common ground, they are distinct pieces of law. But both, however, cast a shadow over the ANC and its members, who may face sanctions if either bill is enacted. Welcome to the Riaan Show, stories that touch every South African in one way or another. I'm not going to unpack the similarities between Ronnie Jackson's bill and this new one from Senator Kennedy. I recommend you check out my earlier videos where I covered Jackson's bill in detail. In this video, I'm focusing solely on Kennedy's bill. Let's start with the website of Senator John Kennedy, where he gives a summary of the bill. You are welcome to go and read it for yourself. I will put a link in the description. So what is the goal of this bill? To force a full review of America's relationship with South Africa, especially in light of the ANC government's growing ties with US enemies like Russia, China, and Hamas. And Kennedy didn't mince his words. He basically says that South Africa has cozied up to dictators and terrorists while launching shameful anti-Semitic attacks against a US ally, Israel. He says this bill puts America's interests first and holds South Africa accountable. Now, according to the bill's backers, South Africa's government has used its international platforms to push for anti-US and pro-Russia, pro-Hamas and pro-China propaganda. South Africa, or rather the ANC, appointed Ibrahim Rasool as ambassador to the US, a person they consider radical, who hosted Hamas leaders and called President Trump a white supremacist. The South African government also blamed Israel for the October 7 Hamas terror attacks. They also glorified anti-Israel militants, and they threatened to arrest Israeli South Africans serving in the IDF when they returned to South Africa. The South African government hosted joint naval drills with Russia and China, and allowed a US sanctioned Russian ship to dock in South African waters. This is referring, of course, to the cancelled exercise Mossy 3, which was originally scheduled to be held during November. And the ship is the Lady R incident. South Africa has become heavily dependent on Chinese-linked companies flagged by the US as national security threats. Please do note that when I am referring to South Africa, I refer to the government and the ANC, not general public, as we do not all support these decisions by the ANC. What the bill demands: a full review of US-South Africa relations, with the President of the US required to certify whether South Africa is undermining American security interests. A classified list of ANC officials and government members who could face sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Act, an end to South Africa's access to trade benefits under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. AGOA is already off the table thanks to Trump's 30% tariffs, but that's not the real issue here. What matters is the signal this sends. The US, or at least those backing this bill, are turning their backs on South Africa and the ANC government. That should tell us something loud and clear. Things are broken. We know this. And not just recently. We've known this for 30 years. There's no magic fix, but the longer we wait, the worse it gets. The first step: remove the ANC completely. Until that happens, nothing meaningful can begin. This bill requests a classified list of ANC officials and government members who could face sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Act. It is a pity that Section 6 requests a classified or a secret list of the ANC members to be sanctioned, as I would like to see that list. But at least these members of the ANC could be sanctioned under the Global Magnitsky Act. But what is this Global Magnitsky Act, and can it really hurt someone in South Africa? The Global Magnitsky Act is a US law that allows the government to freeze assets, ban travel, and block financial transactions of foreign individuals who have been involved in serious human rights abuses, major corruption, and actions that threaten US national security interests. Why does this matter for South Africa? If this bill passes, it means that certain ANC leaders could be blacklisted internationally. Their bank accounts, property, and travel privileges could be shut down by the US. And this sends a strong message that the ANC's actions, especially its ties to Hamas, Russia, and China, are being treated as a national security threat by American lawmakers. This is a legal mechanism that hits where it hurts: money, movement, and reputation. But why does this matter? Allow me to explain a theoretical fallout. Even though the US bill targets South Africa's leadership, specifically the ANC and its government officials, there is a real risk that the average South African citizen could get caught in crossfire. Why? International observers, media outlets, and foreign governments often paint with a broad brush. When a country's leadership is accused of supporting terrorist groups and cozying up to dictators or pushing anti-Western rhetoric, outsiders may wrongfully assume that all South Africans support those actions. And the result? Reputational damage. South Africans abroad may face suspicion, discrimination, or backlash simply for holding a South African passport. There may even be an economic impact. Businesses, freelancers, and professionals may struggle to build trust or secure deals internationally. A social stigma may develop. Tourists, students, and expats could be unfairly judged based on the ANC's behavior, not their own values or actions. This is dangerous and unfair. South Africa is not the ANC. Many citizens reject the ANC leadership, its alliances, and its decisions. But unless that distinction is made clear, the entire population risks becoming misrepresented on the global stage. The fix starts at home. To protect South Africa's reputation and future, the first step is to remove the ANC from power and rebuild a government that reflects the will and values of its people, not the interests of foreign regimes. What do you think? Considering what we now know, let me ask you, do you believe the ANC's actions truly reflect the will of ordinary South Africans? Or has the government hijacked our international reputation? If foreign governments are starting to hold the ANC accountable, why are we still tolerating their failures here at home? What would it take for South Africans to stand together and demand leadership that actually serves the people, not foreign interests? If you have any thoughts, pop them into the comment section. Thank you for watching, and if you found any value in this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.